is not a privilege, it's your right, and it will make a difference. Contact Teamsters Local 1932, a powerful and successful labor union in San Bernardino, by visiting teamsters1932.org/organize to start today.
KCAA Loma Linda. The Legacy KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Taylor. Longtime Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein has passed away at the age of 90. Her political career reached the national spotlight in 1978 when she became San Francisco's first ever woman mayor. In 1992, she became the first female U.S. senator in the state of California. Michael Kastner has more.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is honoring the late Feinstein. While speaking on the floor this morning, Schumer called Feinstein one of the most amazing people to ever grace the Senate and the country.
Dianne didn't just push down doors that were closed for women. She held them open for generations of women after her to follow her.
He praised her work on gun control, women's issues, and climate change. He said she was smart, strong, but most of all had amazing integrity. An emotional Senate Republican Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell, also praised his late friend. At the White House, correspondent Ali Rafa with a statement from President Biden.
Dianne made her mark on everything from national security to the environment to protecting civil liberties. She's made history in so many ways, and our country will benefit from her legacy for generations.
I'm Michael Kastner.
The United Auto Workers are once again expanding their strike. UAW President Shawn Fain said his announcement was delayed Friday morning after a flurry of activity and said Stellantis made big progress moments before he began speaking. However, Fain called for 7,000 workers at GM and Ford plants to go on strike. Jimmy Carter's 99th birthday celebrations being moved up to avoid a government shutdown. Carter's the oldest living former U.S. president and will turn 99 years old on Sunday, October 1st. A birthday celebration was planned for the day at the Jimmy Carter Library and Museum in Atlanta, but those plans have been moved up in case the government shuts down Saturday night. Half of shoppers plan to begin their holiday shopping by Halloween this year, according to a recent Bankrate report. Retail Me Not found as many as 64% of shoppers are kicking off the season in October, up from 53% last year. You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here today on the big program. Lots to get to, lots to talk about. What a ridiculous day. I mean, what a crazy day. What a ridiculously crazy kind of day. Look, Republicans have turned government into reality TV. Real nitwits of D.C. Call it whatever you want. Wow. What a giant S show. And look, what they've learned from reality TV on TV is that the most ridiculous, the most outrageous characters, they're the ones who get the attention. So, surprise, we've got a bunch of children running amok, a bunch of reality TV show wannabes. And what we've got is the reality that this show is House Republicans proving that they can't work with anyone. They can't get along with anyone, especially themselves. It's really quite remarkable. Now, look, we're speeding towards a government shutdown. They're already beginning the roll down, the wind down. They're already letting people know, hey, well, it's evidently going to happen. Looks like the nitwits are going to pull the trigger. And what did we get? What kind of a reality TV show are we getting? We got the impeachment thing that's going on. You had the debates. You had Trump in Michigan. This is probably my favorite bit of Republican reality TV because it's all staged. It's all scripted. None of it's actually real. But our fraudster in chief. But here's the weird thing. This is a guy who's on trial for fraud doing more fraud. And look, you really have to be a special kind of stupid to think Trump was in Michigan to support striking workers. I mean, you really have to be touched. I mean, there's something there that you're just, wow. Now, look, this is the beginning of more divide and conquer. We see this coming because Trump chose, Trumpland. He went to MAGA country, found a non-union employer to bring him in and give him the run of the place, and they brought in actors to hold signs, like UAW member and auto worker and striking UAW. They had all the signs. Problem is, it was all a fraud. In fact, I'm looking at I was looking at the pictures, and I'm looking at some of these women literally in pearls. And you go, you an auto worker? No. Those hands have never seen work. And this is the weird thing. They tried to pull it off. And to the credit of the people who were holding the signs, when asked, they didn't lie. They said, no, I'm just paid here to stand and hold the sign. And this is what you get. This is what you get when as I said yesterday, these people are different kind of liars. These are different spinsters. These aren't your Republican Party grandpa's liars. These are people who are just going to make stuff up out of absolute thin air. And today was interesting, bit of political theater with the impeachment inquiry. Now, what I found interesting, parsing words, Jonathan Turley, the Fox News commentator and right-wing George Washington University law professor, I found his wording in his opening statement interesting. He said, this is a question of an impeachment inquiry. It is not a vote on articles of impeachment. Splitting kind of hairs. No, we're just looking for stuff. He said, in fact, I do not believe that the current evidence would support articles of impeachment. That is something that inquiry has to establish. So he's saying right from the beginning, there's nothing here. We're on a fishing expedition. We're going on a deep dive, wishing and hoping. Bruce Dubinsky, who also testified, a forensic accountant, said, I'm not here today to even suggest that there was corruption, fraud, or any wrongdoing. This is their forensic accountant. This is the guy they brought in to go, smoking gun, stuff. There's something. He said, in my opinion, more information needs to be gathered and assessed before I would make such an assessment. What? Now remember, the Republicans have been telling us for months. They've got it all. They've got bank records. They've got text messages. They've got addresses. They got Joe Biden's address. They got it all. It's all there. All it is just it's all there, except there is no there. And I think AOC, hit it best. She went through and asked, "Do you have any of you witnesses here have any evidence?" And this is the weird thing, folks. This is what I've been saying for years now, especially around January 6th and all of the voter fraud claims that were made at the Four Seasons Landscaping parking lot, and it's what they say under oath. These people came into an impeachment inquiry, raised their hands, swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help them law. God, that's something else. I'm sure these people would lie on their God. But the law that would hold them legally responsible, especially Jonathan Turley, under punishment of imprisonment, they came in and told the truth. And I still have some faith in our system that, while they're parsing hairs here, because they need this political theater. A political theater, mind you, that nobody watched. It was so bad, Fox News and Newsmax turned away and went back to their regularly scheduled programming. It was that bad. It was that bad that Fox and Newsmax said, nothing here. Let's go. We're doing much more damage talking about, Joe Biden's dog. Yeah, they did that. But here's the thing. I mean, we're we're steaming towards a shutdown. And this is what they've brought us. Now, in the Democrats' defense, they came out swinging. There are a lot of really, really good moments where Democrats, made the points that needed to be made. For instance, this is one of those things that makes you go, remember, Republicans are supposed to be the party of the rule of law, right? Or so they tell us. Representative Cesar, his name is. George Cesar from Texas. He simply said, hey, how many people here would raise their hand to indict and hold Hunter Biden accountable if he was found guilty? And everyone was on that. And he said, will the members of the Oversight Committee raise their hands if you believe both Hunter and Trump should be held accountable for any indictments if convicted? Now, it's very clear. I got to tell you, I don't know how you don't raise your hand for that. Every Democrat raised their hand. You know the answer to this. Not a single Republican raised their hand. Not one. And you go, not one of you that bothered to show up, and half of them didn't. But not one of you that bothered to show up would raise your hand and say, yeah, I want him held responsible. I want him held accountable. I believe in the rule of law. I believe in our country. And the answer is quite clear. No, they don't. Now, of course, you know what this is. This is an attack on Joe Biden where there's no smoke here. There's nothing here. If anything, Biden's guilty of being a good father and the kind of father that every man should aspire to be. But what this is, and I said this from the beginning, you go back to every administration. They've always had, I go back to, the Clintons, Roger Clinton. You go back to Billy Carter with his Billy Beer. There have always been people who have cashed in on the name. It's always happened. And I've always said it's not right, but it is what it is, and it's nonpartisan. It's when people get into positions of power, the people around them, they're going to cash in. And this is where James Comer, the guy from Kentucky, the representative, is saying, look, we're going to subpoena Hunter Biden and James Biden. We're going after all the Bidens, except Joe. Because what they're hoping to do, now understand this, as you hear more and more happening, they're going to try and conflate what happens with Biden's brother, with his son, with the janitor, with the person who cuts his grass. They're gonna pull out anything they can to try and tie him into it. But they have nothing, and it showed today. They have nothing, and the weird thing is even they know they have nothing. I mean, that's the thing that, as one senior Republican said to CNN, picking witnesses that refute House Republican arguments for impeachment is mind-blowing. This is an unmitigated disaster. And you knew it was going to be that from the beginning, because this isn't about impeaching Biden. It's really not, because they don't have it. They may get to that. They may, just because, hey, we can. It's going to go nowhere. But it's about the political theater. It's about keeping our mind on this while they shut the government down and can't figure out how to do their job. It really is bread and circus. And the circus, not even interested in Fox News. How bad is that? I want to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Quick break, right back after this. Stick around.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
The phone lines are open. Give Rick a call at 1-866-416-RICK. That's 1-866-416-7425.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
So, did anybody watch the Republican debate? I mean, I didn't. I didn't pay any attention to it whatsoever. I know they were at the Reagan Library. I know it's in Simi Valley. I know the best clips that came out were actually Gavin Newsom, the Democratic governor of California, which I thought was hysterical. And look, I wish more Democrats sounded like Gavin Newsom. But interestingly enough, the Daily Mail did a snap poll, and the winner of the debate that nobody watched was Donald Trump, who didn't show up. So, yeah, he won by not even participating. That's brilliant. Now, Trump is saying what I think everybody else is thinking, that probably the RNC should stop the debates because nobody's paying them any attention whatsoever. And the thing is, it's just making them look bad because they're not saying what they need to say, which is Trump's the bad guy. Trump's the guy who's got to go. They're all trying to be, well, you know, on Trump's team, sort of, except for Christie. But it's not happening. It's not helping. I did like the fact that Dana Cappuccino-Perino did want someone to vote someone off the island. Yeah, they've gone full jump the shark reality TV show with this stuff. It's that kind of crazy. And the thing is, none of the candidates bid, which was even funnier. But you know, here we are in this weird moment, and I think the whole Republican primary can be summed up really simply. And I thank Vivek Ramaswamy for this, because Ramaswamy has said he wants to end birthright citizenship. Does anybody want to tell him? Because Vivek, and he even says that his parents were immigrants. He was born here. Does anybody want to tell him that he is a citizen because of birthright citizenship? Does anybody want to tell him? Does this mean if he gets his wish and we end birthright citizenship, does he lose his citizenship? Does he then have to go back? Do we pack up him and go? Wow. And there's the other thing. Then he's not eligible to run because no birthright citizenship. But that kind of just wraps up really the entire Republican Party. And understand, this is their solution to everything. I've got mine. We climbed up the ladder, and now we're going to kick it off. Going to kick it off the side of the wall. Because again, when you build walls, what you get are ladders or tunnels. Pretty simple. Or people flying over them. Crazy. Let's go to the phones. Got Alice on one. Alice, how are you?
Tired. How about you?
Angry, frustrated, amused. Lots of things. Today was a crazy, crazy day.
It is, and I did not watch the Republican nut job show last night. You know, they were crazy to begin with, and then when Trump, if you recall, got elected and took the oath of office, and the next thing you know, remember, was his ex-wife, wife number one, was claiming that she should be first lady because she was the first wife, and and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, this is like a Jerry Springer show, and that's what the Republicans are doing. It's Jerry Springer stuff, but they're ignorant. Last night, I went to a workshop for our little hamlet for these new nut job ordinances, and I was trying to be nice, which I did manage to be nice. I ended up leaving early because the other Democrat in the our little hamlet went off on them and told them, "You people are ignorant. Do you not know how to read? Are you just stupid?" I mean, he really was, and I thought, I'm just getting out of here because I know me, and I'm going to join in probably in about 5 minutes and start telling them how ignorant they are. But, I mean, they didn't know, like, pollen? I'm like, all plants produce pollen. So you can't say pollen-producing plants because, I mean, my God, it was like, and he actually said to the one, he said, did you not go to school? So they don't know anything. Yeah. Just like, they don't know it. I don't even think they read the Constitution.
I don't think they care. I think the problem is they don't care. They have their ideology, they have their beliefs, and everything else be damned. And that seems to play from top to bottom, from all the way up to the highest office down to your little hamlet. So am I surprised? No, not a bit.
Me neither, Rick. But have a good evening.
Thanks so much, Alice. Appreciate it. No, I mean, this is one of these things where you just go, you watch these, because I've been watching some of the clips today and some of the comments about, what came out of the debate. And these folks have no ideas on how to run this country. And look at the fact that they chose to have a reality kind of TV show on an impeachment inquiry that they have nothing. There's literally nothing. Instead of actually doing their job of keeping our government open. And look, the suffering, the pain, the struggle, the costs are all going to be real. All of this sham stuff, it's all just to get attention for them so that they can be on the podcast circuit or on the F channel or any of the other ones. And they've all got to out crazy the next one. DeSantis said he's going to sign a national abortion ban. Good luck on that. You do realize you got to pass legislation for something like that. But no. We're going to executive order. Going to carry weight. And the reality is that debate didn't move anything in the polls because nobody paid attention to it. Trump is their albatross. And what we saw out of Trump, I did watch his speech. And, President Biden is spot on correct. Democracy is under assault. We are in this is one of those moments where, I listened to President Biden talk about our democracy being under attack, about, Trump inciting violence, seeking unfettered power, plotting, to go after and execute generals. And, completely, trash the Constitution, because he will then be king. And all of the retribution that Trump has already talked about doing. This reminds me of when Hillary Clinton was back in 2016 saying, all this stuff is going to happen. This is who Trump is. And she was right. There's every step of the way. There's no glory. There's no satisfaction in her being right. But she was. And we just don't seem to pay attention to that. But I'm listening to Biden, and I don't want us to look back and go, he was right. But we were too hung up on, he's wearing tennis shoes on the picket line. Because they don't want him to fall. You know what? Trump's people don't want him to fall either. And I don't know if you've watched Trump's speech. Wow. The guy's a blithering idiot. He's got talking points, and they're all just I got, like I said yesterday, this current crop of Republicans, the MAGA folks, the current conservatives, they lie differently. They just make stuff up. Whatever comes out of their mouth, this is where they go. And it's sad and it's dangerous. Now, I did find it interesting. The funny part that is coming out of the debate is Nikki Haley. And I got to tell you, there's part of me that feels for Nikki Haley. I don't like her, not even a little bit. But she's probably one of the smartest people on that stage. And I got to question how smart she is for even being on that stage. But after hearing Ramaswamy ramble on, she did the Billy Madison thing. She said, honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say. And she kind of, there were moments where she kind of looked like a frustrated mother in the cereal aisle, whose kids are, just running all over the place and she can't control them. And she's totally exacerbated, just losing her mind. Yeah, I saw that. And do I feel for her? No. She's deserving everything she gets. But I do find it interesting. Now, here's the thing. The moneyed interests, the big money donors, evidently next month there's going to be a huge fundraiser for Glenn Youngkin. So get ready for Youngkin to possibly come into all of this. And what about all these people who've been on the debate stage all along? What about all these people who have been buying votes? Amazing. Quick break, right back. I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2.
On this day in labor history, the year was 1965. That was the day the Delano grape strike began in California. The strike came a year after activists had forced Congress to end the Bracero contract labor program. The Filipino Agricultural Workers Organizing Committee, led by Larry Idalong, Philip Vera Cruz, and others, called the strike against the Delano growers and the Coachella Valley grape growers. It had been a record harvest. Farm workers demanded higher wages, humane working conditions, and union recognition. When the growers refused, thousands walked out of the fields. A week later, the Mexican-American National Farm Workers Association, led by Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, joined the strike. It was a historic moment. Within a year, the two unions would merge to form the United Farm Workers. The union sent strikers to the Oakland docks to persuade the longshoremen not to load non-union grapes. Many of the Filipino workers in the San Joaquin Valley worked in the Alaska fish canneries organized by the ILWU in the off-season. And so the ILWU honored their union brothers' request. Thousands of cases of grapes were left to rot on the docks. This initial victory led Chavez to organize a grape boycott against heavyweights DeGiorgio and Shenley Industries. 6 months into the strike, union leaders marched 300 miles from Delano to Sacramento to bring attention to their struggle. They hoped to pressure growers to the negotiating table and legislators to act on their behalf. For 5 years, the strike and boycott continued with marches, organizing, and picket line arrests. Gradually, the UFW began winning higher wages, union recognition, and hiring halls. Finally, in 1970, a collective bargaining agreement covering 10,000 workers was reached.
Like what you hear? Check out more at laborhistoryin2.com.
When megalomaniac multi-billionaire barons of industry suddenly announce that they are boundless geniuses who must remake society, government, and nature, perk up and pay attention. Their grand schemes of social engineering almost always go badly for us non-billionaires. Having spent their careers in the top-down, self-aggrandizing, exploitative corporate culture, they invariably turn to techno-solutions and AI computer models, ignoring such bothersome factors as human dynamics. So look out, for here comes a gaggle of high-tech billionaires from Silicon Valley planning to fix America's cities by building an urban utopia from scratch. They've chosen Solano County, northeast of San Francisco, for their startup city, promoting it as a hybrid of technotopia and European urbanity, free from the gritty realities of, real cities. Their plan, however, did not include informing the people currently living there about their scheme. Instead, they dispatched secret armies of lawyers and developers to snap up the area's rich farmland, preparing to surprise the locals by converting their land, community, and culture into the billionaires' experiment in new urbanism. One of the moneyed schemers declared that, quote, "The idea is simple. Found new cities, free from old bureaucratic and legal structures, and explore bold new visions of how government should work." But that's not simple. It's simplistic. Also, wholly anti-democratic and un-American. But it's in keeping with the egomaniacal ejaculations of other self-indulgent richies who want to build cities that float on oceans, that orbit in space, or that are built on Mars. This is Jim Hightower saying, let's send all of them there now. Meanwhile, what if more of our billionaires invested their money in funding real solutions to real problems in the real cities America already has?
Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
So I got to tell you, one of my favorite tweets of the day, the House Republicans at House GOP tweeted out, "Hunter Biden's laptop is real."